DeVon, there you are. Great to have you, DeVon. Thanks for being with us. I have to first pick up on this defunding the police issue that's really taken a lot of focus in the last couple of days. Are you worried that these protests could be boiled down to that debate about defunding the police versus protecting law enforcement? Because you know that tough on crime line has worked for U.S. politicians. Republicans and Democrats have won over that single issue. And a man like Donald Trump in particular is going to play to that. He's going to be tough on crime. He's going to raise the level of fear among Americans about defunding the police. And this whole movement is going to be pushed in a different direction.
Absolutely. There's certainly been some back and forth between the two sides, but I certainly believe that defunding the police is gaining a lot of momentum amongst U.S. cities. I also believe that, the protesting that's happening, the people speaking up and using their voices in support of defunding the police is not going to stop really anytime soon. And a lot of American cities, we're approaching summer. Here in Portland, obviously, we're doing the same. But we also are still having a little bit of rain here in Portland, as it's been the wettest month of June in the last 6 years. But still, people are really going hard. People are really out hitting the streets. They're marching over bridges. They're marching over freeways. And they're really making sure that their voices are heard during this time. And I don't see an end to it here in the nearest of the future.
Do you worry, though, that, as I phrased it before, it's a bit like potentially throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as they say, that defunding might not be the answer, but deep institutional reform in law enforcement could be a different way to change the mentality and the culture of policing in the United States?
I mean, the policing was born out of oppression here in the United States of America. So I would more so see defunding as the better option, just because the system that is policing has never favored Black Americans and many other people of color and poor and disenfranchised folks as well. So we need to see some things being taken away from police unions. We need to see them being held more accountable. As I mentioned, here in the city of Portland, there's a huge push for defunding of the police because we just need an entirely new system, being that this system has not worked for Black people for a very long time. And if we try to just, dig within the institution and try to change things from within, and the institution is already rooted in oppression, it's rooted in racism, it's rooted in slave catching, I think that's going to be really hard to do. So we just need to see a drastic change in policing, and I think defunding is one of the biggest ways of getting that done.
Okay. You work for a newspaper that focuses on social justice issues. So let me ask you this. I mean, there is another condition, though, that is really unique to this extraordinary time we're experiencing right now, and that is the highest unemployment level since the Great Depression. So alongside a shrinking economy, how will you try to get that social justice, at a time when poverty is on the rise, which usually increases crime and frustration?
Absolutely. Well, I think being that a lot of people have more time on their hands and they're actually not working as much, and we're sort of trying to phase into, businesses opening back up and things of that sort, I think it's actually making people take on a bigger role in the fight for justice here in this country. Obviously, if people were working and people had to go to their jobs and really, figure out what to do day to day to feed their families, they probably wouldn't have leaned into protesting as much. They probably wouldn't have leaned into voicing their stance on the times that we're in today as much, because they're tied and they're connected to the corporation that ultimately employs them and feeds their family. But I think now that you're seeing so many people out of work, it's actually opening the eyes more to people who have more time on their hands to really dig deep into what's going on here in America, the problems that we're having in this country. And that's part of the reason why we've seen such momentum with the protesting and the fight for injustice here in this country and against police brutality amongst Blacks.
Okay, DeVon Pouncey, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for being with us on the NewsHour.